an architect, following in the footsteps of my mum. She was the first wahine Māori to become a registered architect. Our parents we're the biggest supporters, bro. Like, you can do anything, be proud of who you are. Being Māori is a superpower. As men, as pāpā, not wanting to have to be the stereotype of a dad or a male. Like, oh, you have to be hard, you have to be strong.
Yeah. Well, there's that kōrero, there's that once we're warriors, but really, like, in our tipina days, it was like once we're guardians, once we're midwives, Like,
I think for myself, this has probably been the hardest year for my own self. It's that kōrero, bro, e roto I te pauri, te maharamatanga, he whetsi ana.
Kia ora, and welcome back to the Planting Seeds podcast. Today, we're talking with Matekitātahi Rawiri, a Māori architect following the footsteps of his māmā, who was the first registered Māori architect in the world. We talk about his upbringing, growing up in Tāmaki Makaurau, immersed in te reo Māori and tikanga Māori, the mahi involved in architecture, being a pāpā, work-life balance, the arts of tā moko, as well as navigating grief. This kōrero was grounded, creative, and from the heart. Let's get into it. Alright, tēnā tātou Planting Seeds whānau, nau mai hoki mai ki tēnei kaupapa. We're here in Maio, we're here in Te Kaha, and it's a beautiful place, and very happy to be connecting with our next guest and someone who's doing some amazing mahi in the architecture space and the artist space, and you might know him from, if you're watching Kapahaka, one of the best teams on the motu. Nō reira, Matekitātahi, nau mai ki tēnei kaupapa e hoa, tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe, pāpā.
Pēhā nei i te rangi nei, bro.
Kei te pai, kei te ora. Hariko ana te ngākau, bro. Ka hara mai tēnei ata, so hariko.
Talk about that tohu you saw, bro, on the way up.
No, he tohu pai, bro. I think that's the beauty of where we live, bro. And just on my drive here, bro, always kind of just looking out at our taiao, but part of Waihe, dolphins just going past it now. Out in our harbour here in Māori. I think that's in a snapshot what the power and the beauty of our tūranga waiwai, bro. And so, he tohu pai, tohu ātāhua, te taiao, ngā atua, era mō moahuatanga, bro, te tū ono mai.
Miharo, bro, miharo. And so, for those who might not be aware of who you are, bro, whakamohio mai.
Tēnā koe. Ko Matekitātahi tōku ingoa. He uri tēnei no te whānau panui, no konei, no mao o tūwhare, o tira ngā maraenga hapu kato o te whānau panui, and ki te tau tōku pāpā, he uri tēnei no waikato, tainui waka, ngā te haua, ngā te maniapoto. Engari, kei konei au e noho ana I tēnei wā tonu. I actually grew up in Tāmaki, though, bro, so out of all of my first cousins, they all pretty much grew up down here, and we were the Flash City Slicker cousins up in Tāmaki. And it's only been in recent that I've been able to move back and bring my whānau back home. In that, I was super lucky to have parents that, especially my mother and my father, that really instilled the importance of having a connection to our tūranga waiwai, knowing where we're from, who we are. Though we grew up in Tāmaki, and we do have whakapapa there, but understanding that where our papa kāinga, where our grandparents grew up, where our iwi and whānau live. And so, that's a bit of a backshot, bro, of, I guess, where I grew up. And then fast forward to today, bro, I'm an architect following in the footsteps of my mum. She was the first wahine Māori to become a registered architect. So I grew up in that, bro.
That's like in the world now, too, eh? That's not just an old town. You're the first Māori, bro. That's global.
Tika, bro. That's kind of the cool thing when you're Māori, you're first to do something. So heavily inspired by my mum and just the lifestyle that our parents instilled in us with, we went to kohanga, te kura, umaki reo. And this was in the early days of, the starting of kohanga and kura kaupapa. And so, for me and my brothers, it was reo Māori, tikanga Māori. That was our foundation. But our parents always coupled that with making sure that regardless of wherever we went, that you could hold yourself in te ao Pākehā. They knew that that's the reality of the world that we live in. Have the basis of te ao Māori as our core and our foundation, but have the strength and the adaptability to do whatever you want in te ao Pākehā. So
that's one of the strengths, bro. Having that perhaps upbringing and background that is entrenched and in depth in who we are as Māori.
Tika,
but
bro.
Then knowing that the reality is that there's this ao Pākehā that we have to adapt to. But when you have that, it's much easier to be able to play in both worlds.
Exactly.
And has that worked to your advantage?
Definitely, bro. I think for me, like growing up in Tāmaki, you see you're exposed to so much more than compared to come
100%.
down here. Māori katoa, bro, te aroa, te tangata, and and that's a beautiful part of it. But having that as our foundation, especially for your own identity, bro, I think that's one of the key parts. Knowing who you are, being proud of who you are, and I think that ties back to the importance of knowing where you're from, having those connections to the people and the place. And so that was the foundation that our parents set, bro. But that also catapults into my career, and pretty much what sets me apart in the industry today is there's so few Māori within the space, and that especially ones that here Māori, tikanga Māori, and even we know te ao Māori, it's a interrelationship piece. Everyone knows everyone has a whakapapa to everyone else, and regardless of whatever position or status you have in a corporate hierarchy, Māori will see you first and ask you, and that's all they want to know. They don't care if you're the boss man or I designed this building or whatever. So bro, that's pretty much 100% of my career today. And like when me and my mum always compare her time to my time, and that was just impossible in her journey, bro. To she was fighting for just small wins for te ao Māori, getting a Māori name on a building, or a Māori this and that, or a pau outside, or haroa, whereas now it's
designing full buildings, whole
bro,
buildings.
Exactly, bro. So it's exciting, bro.
And talk about that, bro. Your mum's been a huge influence in you and your career. Her and pāpā have been a huge influence in your upbringing. What were some of the key things outside of what you've mentioned that you feel has instilled something in you, whether it's that sense of self-belief or courage or this ability to have whakaaro and follow through with it, anything along those lines?
Bro. I think, super, super grateful and lucky for the environment our parents set, bro. Like both my parents were pretty much the first in their whānau to go to university. So they saw the importance of one, education and the ability that unlocks for our whānau, but also my dad pretty much grew up with no pāpā himself. So he was pretty much freestyling, bro, making it up on the go in the environment that they did grow up in as kids, was the alcohol, parties, gangs, all of that sort of stuff, bro, out in Otara, in Waikato first, and then they moved up to South Auckland. And so very quickly, my mum grew up down here, different context, a lot more community focused, but still shifting away from her home to Tāmaki or to the cities, set the example of what they want to set for their whānau. And so for me and my brothers,
how many of you are there, bro? Brothers?
There's three of us, bro. I've got one older and one younger brother. And our parents we're the biggest supporters, bro. You can do anything, be proud of who you are. Being Māori is a superpower, all of those sorts of things, bro. So we were always just told whatever you want to do, you can do it. And kind of really encouraged that way, bro, to dream big. Don't think you can't do anything. Whatever it is you want to do, figure out a way to do it.
That's so important, for our babies to have that kind of, afi, yaki.
Yeah.
And a lot of perhaps people haven't had that, and it's no fault of the parents. It's just they hadn't perhaps experienced it themselves. And so is that something that you're naturally doing to your own tamariki now, bro, as a pāpā, and sort of allowing that to sort of be the hua for your tamariki?
Yeah, definitely. So taking the learnings, not to say that my parents were perfect and our environment was perfect, but taking the good parts, learning from those and applying that, bro. And so there's a lot of same foundational things, like our boys only kōrero Māori. And that was, how our parents grew up, and I guess was a bit more radical in the past then. But today it's a bit more normalized. But just knowing the importance of having that as your basis of your, it's funny because you see all of their thought processes in te reo, bro. And so even their perspective of the world is from a Māori lens. It's all the way to scrapping and fighting with each other. All the Māori, bro. People crack up, going at it and yelling at each other, Māori swear words and stuff. And bro, hey. Bro, taking all of those bits, I think, and just trying to emulate that thing of love, support, aroha, pride, bro, and just, I think because I've got two boys as well, so being a son and a brother, how can I build on that, and what can, also the world's changed too, so it's how can we adapt and evolve
as the world is evolving and changing,
but keep those foundational things of te ao Māori, because that's so critical, bro, but still allow our boys the space to grow up and make their own sort of decisions. So it's a balance.
It's that balance, eh?
Yeah.
Because there's complex, like it's almost as like the older we get and as the world is advancing, it's like the more complex it is.
Oh, 100%.
And like for me, it sort of like creates a lot of like, I would say fear, bro, you know, just there's a lot of fear, anxious because you just don't know. And because, you know, ngā kaunui ki o tamariki, it's like you just really want them to be okay, eh?
Yeah.
And so I think it's those mātāpono and, you know, just instilling those things that no matter what is happening or what is going to happen, at least there's this sense of knowing that either one māmā and pāpā love them.
Yeah.
And hopefully it leans into them having some kind of confidence and courage or loving themselves to handle whatever comes up because they're here now.
Oh, exactly, bro.
So we just got to prepare them as best as we can, bro.
Yeah.
But what I'm learning as a pāpā is how much they're teaching me, you know, with myself. And one of my recent wānanga that I've been having with myself, bro, is because I put a lot on me to try and, you know, be a great pāpā and in whatever capacity, whether it's just presence, playtime, you know, even being the strict one or the stern one, you know, like playing both sides.
Yeah.
Is that I've realized more recently the better I've become as a son. The more I have as a father. You know, rather than just being a pāpā, because my relationship with my pāpā has actually gotten a lot better over these couple of years. And so we're actually like going on dates, you know, me and my old man, like we'll just go for a coffee, you know, usually it'll just go up to the homestead and if mum's not there, catch up pups, you know, but now it's just enjoying that time together or just sitting around. And so the more that I've been able to nurture that side, I've realized like far out it's opened up more for my boys because I want them to have a good relationship with me. But why am I not doing that as a son to my pāpā? You know, so I had that kind of wānanga and I was like, whoa. And it's just opened up something beautiful.
No, that's definitely it, bro. And I completely agree with that thing of having your own kids does make you more understanding to your parents. Like, especially when you're a kid, you think your parents have it all sorted and everything's all good because everything just magically happens. Then you turn up to places and there's kai there and there's you know, roof over your head, clothes. And I think that, you know, that part is important to have. You know, I think keeping our tamariki away from, you know, those sort of stresses or aspects. But then, flip side, you become and you realize, we're freestyling this, you know, a lot of this is off the cuff, like, let's just make it happen. Like, oh shit. You know, and it's a hard case, but I think that's the beauty in it with your kids is, especially while they're babies and while they're young boys, like they just look up to you. Like there's no one, you know, better than my dad, you know, or like something's wrong, I'm going to my pāpā or my māmā. And then it's the same with yourself and your own parents, like you, as a kid, there's no greater love or protection from your parents. That's a big part. So it's like one, I think, understanding and respecting. And I think like there's so much you learn from your kids, patience. You know, that's the biggest.
Bro, I used to get that all the time, and now I'm like doing that to my own kids, bro. I'm like, bro.
And then you kind of like take a step back and realize, these kids are only young, bro, like 2, 3 years, 4 years old, and you're trying to explain. They don't know what, you know, an hour is, or, you know, we need to be at this place for this time. They're just, bro, and so in the moment, bro, so you got to kind of take that and actually be like, am I in the moment while stressing about all this other stuff? I work from home pretty much, bro, so I've got an office, separate office there. But the boys just see it as home, mate, and don't really understand like what pāpā does. They're like, might be in a big ass hui, bro, big ass kaupapa, formal ass, rock up, roll up, bro. But there's no, because they don't know where they're and it's like, it's an interesting one because then you understand like the sacrifice that your parents made bro, for yourself. And I think that going back to their point about being a better son, because then you do get an understanding of like your parents are just trying the best they can, you know, and like working through all the same what they know, bro, what their experience was. And, you know, it's the same as us, you know, we're doing the same. But I think in today's generation, we do have a bit more like resource and opportunity to learn from those, whereas our parents, bro, they just mahi and like make it happen, make sure kids are all good.
And get on with it, eh?
Get on with it,
From
bro.
what we know anyway, without knowing like far out, like what they actually... I think in terms of the complexity of the mind, it wasn't as perhaps open or explored as what it is at the moment, because the access to information now is just so
overload,
radical.
You've got everything.
Yeah, so the mind can just open up so much. And so back then it was just what you saw on the news, and everyone just knew to get a job and do that. So it was actually a lot simpler, but it doesn't take away from the challenges of that time as well. And so like moving from Tāmaki, bro, back to the coast, like how was that kind of like shift in terms of for you guys in your whānau, bro?
Nah, that was a really big shift for us, bro, like, because that was during the point of COVID. So right in the thick of it, COVID was happening, bro, and we'd pretty much just had our oldest boy, and we're living up in Tāmaki, and I was still working up there for a practice up there, but I was actually supposed to go to Te Puia, bro. So I was actually in the intake for 2020, and get the call, bro, pretty much just a couple of weeks, and this is like COVID hit Aotearoa. Don't know what's happening. The world's kind of shutting down, bro. And
that was a buzzy time, eh?
Oh, bro, it is to think back, bro. Yeah, but and it, bro, kind of offered a lot of opportunities. But at the time, I was set to go do 3 years of whakairo. I'd done my years at university in the Pākehā world, and wanted to dedicate the same level of time to whakairo and the craft and our own mātauranga. And so, I was like, we're set, moving to Rotorua, and get a call. The wānanga's being shut down, everyone's been made redundant. We don't know how long COVID's going to happen. And it's like, so
what are we up to?
We'd already moved out of our whare in Tāmaki, bro. So now we're like, there's no point in moving to Rotorua. And so, we were in limbo, bro. And then like, COVID's happening. We've got a newborn baby, and we're like, we don't really want to be in the city, the most populated place, if there's this virus going around and don't know all the uncertainties. And we're like, should we move back down the coast just to wait it out and see what happens, and just take our time, give our space for, raising our baby. And so that was the catalyst for that, bro, and buzzy times when you look back on it. But it was quite, and that was interesting, bro, moving back during COVID, because the world was shut down. Like, it was a bit of a snapshot, I think, into what the āhua, our grandparents, and later on my parents grew up in, bro. Because like everyone was, out fishing or sharing kai, making sure everyone was all good. Because up on we closed our road, and like, you fellas stay out. So we were pretty much self-sufficient, independent. And you saw a lot of that āhuatanga of, I think the
older times.
Of the older times, bro, where it was just about kai, community, all of those sorts of things, making sure everyone's looked after and okay, our pakeke, our tamariki, all of that sort of stuff. So that was, interesting to come back, and quite a beautiful time, bro, to move back in there. Our auntie and uncle next door were like, do you fellas have enough kai? Making sure we're all good, all of that sort of stuff, bro. But make that change, especially growing up in Tāmaki. Not to say that we weren't always brought back here, but it's a different thing, especially I think as
that you're here, localized,
and as an adult, bro, as an adult, creating those relationships and connections on your own without your parents, and into the wider community, like who are you, who is your whānau, all of those sorts of things. So it's taken a while, bro, especially I think as a whānau as well. Like, my missus is from Hokianga, in Tokero, bro, and grew up in Kawakawa. And so for her to, she had only moved to Tāmaki for university, and everything else grew up north. And so to pretty much go to the opposite end of the country, bro. And we're just 9 hours from your own family. So all of those challenges, bro. And even for myself, because my parents are still in Tāmaki, my brothers. So that immediate whānau connection, though everyone, especially around here, more or less whānau, either cousins or aunties and uncles, just having those immediate ones, especially new parents, all of those sorts of things. So not having that, mum, can we leave baby with you, sort of a thing. I was like, you're free soloing it, bro. You gotta work it out.
Gotta hold it down, bro. Sounds mean though, in terms of you guys being here, and although you grew up in Tāmaki, you're creating a different experience for your own tamariki, just to like grow up where they're actually from, and that's probably a good thing for māmā to know that you're back home too. It's probably like a nice thing for her to be like, son's back home, I grew up and all of that, and doing the same for her mokopuna. And so think about like, the mahi that you do now, bro, you're Māori architect, and you're doing some amazing establishments and designs and things of that nature. Like, what does architecture actually look like, bro, for someone who doesn't know?
Yeah, for like the general people, architecture is the design of any built form, any typically buildings, but it isn't necessarily restricted to buildings. You know, we
Right.
do all sorts of things like master planning, which can be at the scale of a city or a town or a suburb. Papakainga, all of those things. So it's not necessarily just a one-off building. And the point of architecture is essentially to have the attention to the craft and the detail of how that building is designed and constructed, bro. And so architecture in a lot of ways.
So you guys the main point of call for we want to do this thing? So will people come straight to architects and being like, this is the idea, and do you fellas formulate the plan?
Yeah. No, exactly, bro. So we pretty much, have that wānanga with whoever we're working with and formalize whatever that idea is into a structure, into a built form. And that's essentially our what we're trusted to do, is most people don't know how a building is put together, and then if it's quite a complex building with heaps of different elements, where do you even start? In today's current context, where iwi now are in a lot more stronger position, like again to that comparison of my mum's career, where iwi were kind of only just establishing themselves as a economic entity, bro, to create opportunities like that. We're in a lot more stronger position to actually inform. Actually, we want our buildings to reflect our own pūrākau, to reflect our people, to reflect our kōrero tukuiho, whatever that element is.
That sounds to me that's like one of the favorite parts of this whole thing, bro? Is learning the pūrākau of the
bro.
And like what is it going to represent, and
yeah,
because all of those kinds of pūrākau formulate a design and a way of like integrating that into things, bro?
Yeah, exactly, bro. That's the cornerstone of it, bro. You can anchor any sort of decision making from that when a project does have that, and I think that's again because that's not typically how architects will design. Like the standard architect is looking at the pragmatics of it and the functionality. So like how mainstream architecture will look at it is like, okay, what's the brief? Okay, we're doing a school. What's the site? We need X amount of classrooms and they have to be this size. And so like, what's the most efficient way to do that? Whereas, for us wanting to flip that and say, if we're designing from a te ao Māori perspective first and foremost, rather we'll still do all of those technical things that we have to work out, but what are those fundamental things of te ao Māori that
tikanga,
anchor it, bro, and make it a difference from just a school to a kura or a building to a marae, because it's not necessarily, and that's been the standard so far is like, we'll design it and then we'll get an artist to chuck a kuru on it, and now it's a whare Māori, or we'll chuck a whakairo on it. Whereas, for us, we look at the past and there's just so much level of thought and detail and philosophy that our tipuna were exploring and had integrated into the level of architecture that we had. So it's like trying to re-express that in today's world.
It's a mean whakaaro, re-express. The way when you're sort of like talking about, the, mainstream way of doing it and the Māori way of doing it, it feels like this way that you're exploring or re-expressing, I should say, it's just bringing back that hohonutanga, like bringing a level of depth, and the main word you're using is anchoring. And so, has that been like a challenge for you, bro, to not only, not the challenge in expressing that, but just seeing how like perhaps, so if this is hohonu, like the shallowness of mainstream, like has that been a challenge for you to be like, oh man, like we can do that, but has that been like quite hard for you in those circles and spaces, bro?
Yeah, it can be from time, bro. I think especially in the part where, again to the point where there are so few Māori within this industry, there hasn't been enough example of what that honutanga looks like, and so mainstream thinks, we've done a marae, we've done a kura. That's the pinnacle of Māori design, and it's like probably only scratching the surface of actually the level of expression that we could get to. So you have those sort of challenges of, whether it's working with clients or other architects that think, we're well established, who are you guys to rock up and say this or that. But and then the other flip side to that too is when you're entrusted to express that, that hohonutanga, like you said, like we get to go and have wānanga with, some of the most tohunga people, because usually, you know, if it's a niwi project, oh, well, we're going to get our kaumātua to have that wānanga and share that whakapapa, and you might not have that direct whakapapa hononga there, and they're sharing this nu kaupapa or wānanga, and so you have to just be ready to receive that, and I think humble enough to know that, you know, you don't know the answer, though you're the expert. You're there to listen and there to respect and honour, and essentially, but that's what gives those projects mana and tapu, bro, and that's that thing of ohonutanga, like by delving into those, because anyone can make a box or a building, but to make it Māori is to embed and instill all of those aspects of kōrero tukuiho, of wānanga, making sure that that kōrero is captured and preserved and manifested into that physical expression.
And what does that look like and feel like for you, bro, to have like an idea, then you see the plan, and you see people like bringing it to life, and then you see this end product, bro, you know, like what does that feel like for you, you know, to see the whole like stages of this manifestation, bro? Like,
it's inspiring, bro.
Never gets old, eh?
Yeah, never gets old, bro, because, you know,
so much stress in between.
Oh, bro, straight up. Yeah, it's like, oh, it makes it all worth it. And start again. It's exactly that, bro. I think because that's another thing people don't realize is like how long it takes to get a building designed. Like it can be, you know, anywhere from 2 years to plus, you know, 5-10 years.
Just the design process.
Like design and construction, bro. Like depending on the type of building, complexity to it, even the things around funding, you know, whether it's funded by the client themselves or partially government or external, all of those sorts of things, bro. And those are the things that you kind of can't control but still have to navigate. And so to get to that end outcome, it shows all the challenges that we're faced, and you still were able to get there. So it's like an amazing feeling, bro. And I think the other thing too is like, this is where I always liken to our other aspects of toi, you know, same as whakairo, same as moko raranga. You've gone from process of just an idea and manifesting that into a physical expression, bro, of whatever that is. You know, that in itself is atuatanga. That's what our atua did. And that's the other thing too that I wānanga and think about is our tipuna put such tapu on the art of house building, bro, of construction and architecture. How do we still honor that and navigate that? And it is, bro, like you see it in terms of the connection to materials that you use, whether you're sourcing wood or sourcing steel or stone or whatever. And those are some of the things that we're exploring, is like, how do you still look at that from a Māori worldview? How do our atua still manifest into these? And I think that's the whole point of how our tipuna, you know, why they made those processes and aspects of karakia to navigate, one to start a project, but two to end it and kind of sever that thing of connection to that creation. So it's like those sorts of things, bro, that you wānanga. And so like when you get into that sort of thing, it's like, this is a tapu space for one from the kōrero tukuiho. So you've got tipuna that, you know, might be some real tipuna tohunga tapu tipuna, but all that's atuatanga, bro. And so it's just trying to navigate that as best we can and as true as we can.
Into what it looks like now, eh?
Yeah.
How can that sort of, like, as you said, I like that word, re-express it, you know, in today's context, eh?
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, thinking about, you know, everything that we've spoken about already, bro, like, has there been something that you've learned recently about yourself, bro, like, that you feel has been like, oh, yeah, because obviously when challenges come up, eh, it's like you almost have to figure something out. Or one thing I think perhaps to preface this is, like, when I'm going through things, whether there's challenges, whether it's whānau dynamics, whether it's mahi dynamics, whether it's hauora, I have this immediate kind of like introspective being like, okay, I'm the limitation here. Like, what am I what do I need to like work through, or like what do I need to push through, and like what is that thing? And so just wanted to sort of like share if that's a process that you go through, if there has been challenges and being like, oh man, I just need to think about it like this, or this is something that I haven't learned yet but I need to apply it.
That's a really good pātai, bro. There's heaps of things, I think, from both a creative perspective of how do you keep your creative potential open, because when you do that as a a 9 to 5 or your day-to-day mahi.
Can get zapped,
You can get zapped, bro.
And creativity isn't linear, bro. It's
exactly,
sort of like, bro, just in bed, and then all of a sudden, 2 a.m. Oh, there it is.
Exactly,
and you've been searching for it all week.
And you've been sitting at your desk on a drawer.
And then scroll.
Bro. Like,
brain fart.
I gotta get out of here. So there's that part of it, bro. Like, how best to manage your own creative potential. And those are probably, challenges that you'll always face, and that I always face. But kind of having those things, because you can't control it. Sometimes it's all flowing and things are pumping. It's like, see, we can,
and you feel it. You feel it flow.
And,
the frustrating part is when you're needing it. It's not coming in.
Oh, bro, you've got a deadline tomorrow. Where's this thing? And you're like, And I think for me, it's learning patience as well, bro. Like not trying to force it. Because
do you lean heavy into those things like faith and like trust and, obviously because there's things that you can control, and like say you've done what you can do, and then all of a sudden you have to let go and surrender and just being like, okay, I've done what I've needed to do here, but it's not fully over the line, or there's other elements that need to be put here, but instead of like trying to force it, it almost creates the opposite kind of motion.
You're kind of putting up hurdles by forcing it. Which feels counterintuitive. Like you think, I'll just grind that out and it'll get done. But no, I think that is a key part, bro, is having that whakapono, that faith to know what you're working with and what you're working in, and allowing it the time. And one of our kōrero here, says this kōrero around like when you open that side of things, you aren't in control of it. So, it'll show up and manifest however you want it, or however it wants to. And so...
Did he say it in Pāke or Māori, bro?
All a Māori, bro. I'm trying to translate it.
What was it in Māori, bro?
Like,
kōrero Māori.
Oh, no, it's like a whole hour kōrero, bro. That's the synopsis of the whānau.
Like we did.
Then I'll talk about this.
That's what it really, that's the basis of it.
The crux of the kōrero is kōrero.
Because I just saw you do it, I was like, nah, bro, he's translating it right now.
Gone back, reliving that whānau. Bro. But so that's our kōrero Rikirangi, who's our tutor for Te Whānau Apanui, who's probably one of my role models, biggest inspirations in terms of creative output and that thing around creativity. And so you can't always pick and choose when it decides to come to you. So it's about being the vessel, the thing to channel that. And so especially the conduit, bro, for channeling that, especially in things where it is around mana or whakapapa, and there are tipuna are involved, or kōrero tukui, or like that's not you, bro. So you can't rock up and be like, sweet, give me the answer.
But you almost always have to be in a space of feeling tau for it to, I guess, flow quite easy. But I think that's the thing that I'm learning mostly is the management of like my own stress and state of mind. And my outlet at the moment has been just more around physical activity, or just, just looking after my hauora, because those are the things that I can control. I can control like moving my body. I can control what I put in my mouth. I can, control creating space to, meditate or have that wahangu space. And so when I'm ever in that state of stress, like I know exactly what I need to do just to sort of like regulate myself, I suppose, bro, is probably like the better word. Because that gives me capacity to be able to be creative. Whereas if I have stress, I'm like, I can't think about anything outside of like what the problem is. And it just sort of almost takes me into these different different spaces. So, like you talked about, Rikirangi, he's the man. Having never sort of been around him, but you hardly ever see him, but you see a lot of his mahi,
you see the fruits.
The fruits of it. And so, like you do kapahaka. And so is that like a creative outlet for you too, bro? Or is that like, maybe na kaihaka?
So to me, those are all the same, bro. Like it's all the creative process. Say kapahaka is just one vehicle of expressing that same aspect, whether it's, a waiata about a particular tipuna. And so that's why, like it is a really important part to, I guess, the expression of creativity and just an outlet of, again, it's like a physical, mental and spiritual outlet of embodying all of those things. So it's a nice switch up from, drawing these things or modeling these things to...
Just to be able to detach from that, and like plug into something else.
Yeah, but it's still in the same thread, like, if it's a waiata kraua, and understanding the kōrero behind that is the same thing as having a wānanga with a kaumātua about kupe or whatever.
Right.
And so, like in both of those aspects, I think kapaka has directly helped me with my mahi as well. Like, especially I think at the level that Uncle Rick teaches us, like, you have to know, you have to understand what you're singing about, what you're hakaing about, what you're talking about. Because if you're going on stage there and you don't know what the hell you're talking about, it'll show. And so that's like the fundamental first principle thing.
Know what you're talking about, singing about, hakaing about.
Yeah. No point in, you can have all the flash moves or...
Well, that's the way it's expressed more authentically, eh?
Yeah,
it's like when you can connect to, the kōrero or the body of knowledge or the mātauranga. It's like, and it clicks, eh?
Yeah, then you remember, that's why we're doing this action.
And that's why we've got to feel it like this, I like that, bro, the performative aspect of a kōrero tawhito, or something that represents something.
Yeah.
And is there other forms of regulation? Obviously you're a business owner, you have this pressure, you're in this corporate space, but then in this humble area of here, your pāpā, your partner, getting pulled in many different directions. Plates, bro, like,
it is, bro.
Thing that you sort of like lean on to regulate yourself.
That's probably been the biggest challenge, bro, especially since becoming a pāpā, and then wanting to do life on hard mode of, we might as well start a business too while we're you know what, let's move down the coast and
to be away from
where everything's all good and all of those things. Bro. So you get all of those aspects, and I think that's been the hardest bit, bro, because I think for me, since becoming a pāpā, and I think that's not unique to me, but it's like you want to give and provide to your whānau, to your partner, to your parents, your wider whānau as well, your tamariki, but then you're kind of put last, bro. I think especially as a man, as a pāpā, that's kind of maybe the blueprint or the example my dad had shown was that, he'll always sacrifice himself for us, for his kids and for his whānau. And so that's probably been the hardest bit, bro, is like making that time for yourself and understanding the importance of it, of like, actually, you don't look after yourself. You don't have capacity to look after, or you're kind of doing that on half empty, And so that's one critical part. And you touched on it too, bro, the thing around hauora, physical activity, movement. But I think also tied within that is the connection of your hinengaro and wairua, and so having just as much importance on those things, and you kind of touched on it with meditation. So noho puku, bro, and we have the ringatū hāhi here, which one key part of it is there's the whole karakia component of it, but it's actually in those in-between times where you are supposed to just sit and reflect and noho puku, bro. And I think especially in today's world where there is so much, bro, there's so much going on, you can always be contacted or someone can contact you. So to kind of detach from that and look just within yourself. And so that's something that's, still, something that I'm working through, bro.
It's going to always be like something that we're going to, I suppose, be working on. But I think what you said is like very true, the more we are better within ourselves as Tāne, the more capacity we have to actually like show up in all these other areas. And I think everything else that we have been talking about is all aligned, because, if we're showing up like half empty in ways that it's almost like a disservice to our mahi, to our whānau, but more importantly to ourselves. There's almost that, like, if there is that conditioning around not being able to give to ourselves, there's like the opportunity there to try and rewire it or like reprogram to show that it is okay to look after yourself. That's, I think, what probably like something that I hard out advocate for. Probably there's challenges or things that I could be doing better, but that's something that I've always kind of more recently anyway, since I've had this like huge shift in life, I suppose, bro, over these last like decade or so. It's just prioritizing space for self. Man, that's just it's still like there's still so much challenges, but being able to like just fill that cup up has allowed me to either work through things better or like be humble enough to know that I've gone wrong somewhere or like, you know, to detach from something or surrender. But I think the best decisions that I've been able to make, or the courage that I have, is within those spaces. And one of the main kōrero that I share with people, and might even just be helpful for you, or it's just starting small,
bro.
Like,
just
starting those small things. It doesn't have to be like the half a marathon. You know, or lift the most weights or whatever. It's just like an easy hikoi, but it's just like, and that leads into just drinking more water, and that leads into just eating better kai, and it just sort of has that domino effect.
That's 100%, bro. And that's something, again, like that transition from becoming a pāpā for me, bro. Like, as I think back to in my younger days of like, you know, go to the gym, train hard out, and then you still have in your mind like, I'm gonna do the same. And for a long time, bro, it was like, nah, I'm not. You know, if I'm not training the same
standard level,
lifting the same amount of weight, then mo wa. And like, so that was something, you know, to humble myself. It's like, bro, even just going for a walk, that's better than not doing anything at all. And especially as you get older, realizing that importance of physical outlet. And that doesn't matter, bro, if it's just starting small, just doing something, and it's around the consistency. And it's like that for anything, like, whether you want to tinana hinengaro wairua, even, you know, in mahi business, whatever, those small steps, they stack up.
They stack up. And what do you think about this, bro? You know, like being in this I guess space of business and being in the corporate world and all of those kinds of different things. What's your whakaaro on balance, bro?
What's
your whakaaro on that, bro? Are you one of those ones who's like, bro, that doesn't even exist, we just go mahi hard and just like figure it out, everything else? Or like, where do you sit with balance, bro?
It's a funny one there, because like, you know, people always put out the work-life balance. It's never works out that way, bro. Like since starting our practice, we're just going into our third year now. You know, there probably hasn't been a week that I've worked less than, you know, it's easily, like, you know, your standard is 40 hours, but like probably like in the 50s, 60s, you know, like, and architecture's like one profession that's notorious for long hours, bro, hours, not the greatest amount of pay. And so, trying to find that balance. And I think, because you only have so much time and energy and capacity. So it's...
You've hit those reserve tanks a few times, bro?
Bro, there's sometimes we have to dig it in, bro. Get the kids, you know, whatever it is. Get them to kura or get them to their trip or whatever.
That's where you realise how hard things are, though, too, because you still got to pick up the slack here, and
bro.
When I'm in that kind of mode of like, I just need to get this done, I'm not the best person to sort of like be around in terms of like, Papa's just got to do this, you know, like there's those little triggers that happen because of the pressure or the time cuts or whatever it is. But I think, you know, sorry, bro, to cut you off there, carry on in terms of your whakaaro, bro.
It's exactly that, bro. I think there's that thing of balance, but I think it's being present. Like, you only have so much time, there's X amount of time, so it's you know, making the time for your kids, making the time for mahi or whatever. And you do have to prioritize some things and sacrifice other things, and some things are good sacrifices, and then others are harder ones. But I think that's the only way you can find that balance, bro. It's a lot of people, you know, want to do the business or want to do it, but don't realize like
what it takes,
bro, and what the sacrifice. Like, there's been, and you know, my missus has seen it firsthand, and my kids, where I'll have to be away, you know, because we live here, I'll have to be away for several weeks, or away a week and then back again. Like today,
quick stop, and then
I'm off to Whakatane straight after this to fly up to Tāmaki, and then come back and then repeat again next week. And so it's like, if you really want it, you do have to sacrifice for it and put in the effort. But that's not, it depends on yourself, It depends on what's
and how big the vision is, though, too,
You
know? I like that. And that's the thing that I feel is important, though, too, is that like everyone's unique in their own way, and everyone has different dreams and aspirations for themselves, and so the sacrifice is relative to that, bro, you know. So if you're okay just with a life that suits you, then the sacrifice might not be as big. You know? And
exactly.
I think, and the other way that I look at balance, I had this kōrero, one of my bros, and he asked me the same thing. This is when I was like doing my food truck, you know, and this was a food trailer. I started the podcast at the same time. I was doing speaking gigs here, and it was just like full on. And I was just going hard and loving it. No tamariki, it was just me and my wahine.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, what do you reckon about balance? I was like, bro, they don't exist here. You know, just go hard, bro. Just go hard. And then, you know, like, far out, there's no balance in my life at the moment. And one thing that I realized quickly after that, bro, was a learning was like, because I like knew that that's where I was at, it just almost like everything fell apart, bro. Like, you know, I was like, oh, well, you don't believe in balance. So, oh, well, let's like really create that scenario. And so this area was pumping, but far, you know, strain in the relationship, strain within my hauora, you know, not really sleeping well. And so I was like, oh shit. So I reflected when everything was sort of like crumbling. I was like, if I remembered that conversation with my bro. So I was like, oh, well, although we might not have balance like all the time, what I reshaped was, I'm going to pursue balance. I'm going to pursue it. Like, it's freaking hard. But like, I'm going to try. You know, I'm going to try and go hard and mahi and show up in all these other areas. Drop the ball, you know, in many ways. But the pursuit of it is something that actually has given me a lot of drive. And I get it, bro, in moments. You know, it's like, bro, like a window. And it's like, oh, fuck, that's worth it. You know, everything's humming, bro. You know, like everything's good. And it's just like, oh, man, like that feels good. And then, you know, something goes off track. And oh, well, let's get back on the waka. And so the other thing about it too, it's like, it's not in a day where you get balance, or it might not even be in a week.
That's the thing,
it might be over, like you can measure it over a 10-year period. You know, so those first 3 years might have just been hectic. And so it just sort of like opens up later on kind of thing. So that's another way to look at it.
No, exactly, bro. And it's just not to say that with kind of that, or to glorify that hustle culture, because I think, again, that's been over accentuated, like, oh, do this and do side hustle this and this and that. And no, it is. It's exactly that, bro, is that balance across the board. And so, though you might have huge mahi hours, still making that time for your kids, for your partner. And how does that look? And I think because I do have to travel a lot and I do have to work long hours when I am with my kids, it's, you know, it's time. just with them, and trying as much as you can. You still have things where might pop up, and so I think that's the point of balance, bro. Is like, it's not to say that you can't work hard. I think almost in that it
frees you up.
Frees you, or makes you more aware of just how important time is, and how if you do only have, rather than if you do only have a short or shorter amount of time, you really want to cherish that and make that not that it has to be anything special, but just that you're intentional and just there for that part. And so having those boundaries too, you know, where mahi starts, where mahi finishes.
That's probably one of the biggest challenges when you're working at home, though, because it's like so intertwined. You know, that's why I'm glad I've had this, bro. It's like separate from the fun.
My office is a separate office to our house, bro. So
there's a clear line when I'm in here, bro. You just, bro, and my son comes up, Papa, Papa. It's like, bro, mahi.
Got mahi on.
And I'm just, just time away, just
that's mahi. De-stress.
I love it, bro. You know, now the thing that comes up for me is I just, you know, there's a lot of challenges at the moment, you know, with other people, and there are some repetitive cycles that are happening within some whānau, but I'm really like proud about how there are a lot of like conscious tāne Māori who are putting a lot more effort into being, you know, present with their tamariki, or, you know, being nurturing to their partner, or providing in ways that align to who they are. And so it's meant to see like how that's, I wouldn't say it's a trend, but it's a lot more common now. You know,
normalized.
Not even just people who are like, you know, sharing it online, but, you know, even like some close friends, and like just seeing it in your peers, just how that's sort of like shifted. And so are you noticing that, bro, just around, you know, like your friends and how they are presenting themselves and showing up?
No, definitely, bro. I think because I've got quite a few close bros and stuff that we've pretty much grown up together and come through university together, and we're all kind of been on that same journey of transitioning, you know, into our careers, and then becoming parents, becoming pāpā. No, I think you're right, bro. I think there is a real intentional approach to wanting to do things differently, and wanting to be more sensitive or understanding. I think as men, as pāpā, not wanting to have to be the stereotype of a dad or a male, like, oh, you have to be hard, you have to be strong.
Yep.
And so even just here in our smaller community and friends and whānau, and it might be the ones that we relate with, and then but we're all pretty much the same, bro. Like, there's a list of what our type of mahi is, like the of whānau, being a father, being there for your tamariki. I think you really are seeing a shift in it. And to me, it's almost a shift back to the past again. I think these things that we think are normal are results of colonization and all those sorts of things that have affected our people. And, comes the drugs, alcohol, all of that sort of violence and abuse, all of those, negative things. So I think shifting back to what fatherhood and what that example of a male was look like, and also the balance, I think, of parents as a father and a mother. But I think it is a genuine shift at the moment.
Well, there's that kōrero, there's their once we're warriors, but really, like, back in our tipuna days, it was like once we're gardeners, once we're midwives, it was our tāne who were actually like delivering our baby. Like, there's a lot of, I guess, like as you're saying, there's this re-expression, of like, we really are in as Māori, as tāne. So, the last thing that I want to like drop into, bro, before we close up is, kōrero about moko, and, you almost covered head to toe like me, brother, and say, like, what does moko represent to you? Like, you're obviously a creative, you're an artist, and so, like, what does it mean to you, bro, having moko?
I've always loved moko. At our whare and at home, my dad's got, these old portraits of like Tāwhiao, some of the tipuna from our Tainui, our Waikato side. And I was always drawn to moko from a young age, bro, just the beauty of it. And then I guess fast forward to becoming an adult, seeing the revival of it and the reclamation of it. And I think that ties into a whole lot of things there, that thing around claiming who we are, like you're saying in the post, from that example of once we're warriors to once we're gardeners. And to me, that's what moko is, bro. It's right back to the kōrero at the start, around that pride that our parents, my father, my mum, put in us, of being Māori, being, unapologetically Māori. And to see those examples of our tipuna, rangatira, rawa, just in the, you see them, and you're like, wow, mana, bro. And so, who I am. And so it's that, bro. And I think there's lots with moko. There's the aspect of journey through life and all the different aspects that you experience and go through, the connection back to our tipuna, that whole process of undergoing and receiving moko, to me, is always a way that transports you back to what it was like for our tipuna, and why did they choose to make this part of who we are, and so going through that wānanga of the importance of it, because you see the evolution from throughout the Pacific, and Māori in particular. We came here, evolved our moko traditions, and started doing super intricate mataora, moko kauai. And so to me it's reclaiming that, bro, and being the example. Was like all tied in with us moving home. Prior to moving home, I probably wouldn't have received mataora as early as I did.
Oh, it's pretty uncommon to not have a mataora down these ways, bro. That's the kōrero down the 35.
Come to Apanui, bro. There's probably more mataora and moko kauai than not nowadays. And so seeing that shift in our, reclamation in our people. Some of our tuakana were establishing a moko papa, another moko papa here in Te Whānau Apanui, and us, tono to us, me and my wife, to be one of those receivers for that first wānanga, and hold those kana and those ones at high esteem, bro. And so it was like, wow, and their thing was like, you sit in a very unique space, bro. You Māori do architecture, and how many, you're in all these big hui, and meet all these, ministers and whoever, iwi leaders, all of those sorts of people. How many of Māori architects have moko kanohi? And I was like, none, bro, none at this stage have kanohi who's like, oh, well, you be there for us. Te whānau whānui. So that, yeah, wherever you go, you know, it's unmistakable that, you know, a Māori e mahi ana tēnei mai. Yeah, bro, so it's all of those things. It's the things of, yeah.
Was it like, yep.
Yeah, I was like, oh. Yeah, but hey, I think that comes with the territory, of...
Yeah, that's the whole whānau receivership, bro?
Yeah, and also, I think putting yourself in positions of leadership, you know, to express that, bro. And so that, you know, with moko, it's the highs, the lows of life, the reminder too of those core things that our parents said right at the start from being kids, you know. So whenever, you know, you do look in the mirror or, you know, you catch yourself slipping, it's like you should be holding yourself to a higher standard, bro. Those things.
Well, I just had Papa in here yesterday. You said you fellas shared the table together, right?
So
the same moko Papa.
The same moko Papa, bro. Yeah.
Mean. And so it's meant to sort of, I guess, see the revival of moko kanohi, but also just, you know, our people just wanting to represent who they are as well.
Yeah.
And I see moko as like a timestamp, you know, of like different stages of your life. And, and like you can have it mean whatever you want it to mean, but it's all like a main personal journey that you go on, and what it represents to you and what it represents to those that you care for. And, you know, even just as recently we were talking about it off camera, you know, just the journey of like you know, just receiving a pūhoro was like far out, never been through anything like that. And I don't think I ever will anything like that again. But, you know, like for me, it's there was the 4 days on the table, but the 4 days of pain, but like what that pain was like leading towards, it was like you want to run away from it, but then you have to lean into it and you have to find your meditation. And so that was the whole internal journey, like for me, around receiving something as big as a pūhoro, whereas, you know, getting previous moko, you know, it's just sort of like just handle the pain, you know, it's only 8 hours, or it's just a day, but there was something a bit more within this receiving a pūhoro, and I could only imagine like what that would mean for moko kanohi. So is there different feelings for you, bro, like depending on like where you've received or like the significance or what it represents?
No, that's a really good pātai, bro. With pūhoro, I think that is well, same with mataora, but it's probably I'm trying to think of the way to explain this, but closest you'll get to that connection to our tipuna and the understanding of that, and I think the beauty of both pehai and mataora, it does challenge you, and I think that's what I mean about connection back to our tipuna, because I always think back as to the why, like why did our tipuna endure this, and like one, make it a normality, you know, just a part of our culture, bro, that every man
has to struggle,
goes
through some pain.
Goes through this.
It's like the initiation.
And that's where it 100% is. And I think, like you say, because it teaches you that ability to sit within yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to sit, bro. You're not going to, if you've got 4 days, 5 days of straight wānanga, like, and you're not tau or can't get to that, like, because you don't necessarily have to be starting it, but as long as I think through that full thing is to get to that end place of tau within yourself and understanding. And so that's what I mean about that connection back to our tipuna. And
was it more rugged back in those days too? Like, you reckon the pain was like...
I don't know, bro.
It was uhi,
it was uhi, bro. I haven't received uhi before, but apparently it's not as sore. Apparently it's a different feeling to gun uhi, bro. So...
And it's quite crack. I was like cracking up in myself. I was like, bro, why am I in pain? Because I asked for this.
Well, that's
I put myself here, and so like I can't just go.
Exactly, bro. And, it's funny because you have to willingly ask to do that. And again, it's like, man, why couldn't we have had culture where it's like you see some of the other cultures, they paint stuff on or not this, you know? It's like, you know, that's what it means to be Māori. And then, you know, that's that thing of back to our and our kōrero tukuiho around niwareka and mataora, me tonga, all of those things. And I think that's the experience, bro, of going through. So I think especially in particular with pehai and mataora, those are true tests. And I think that's why our tipuna did it, was to do in the past, you know, those were done over, you know, a whole person's lifetime, you know, to do your full face or to do your full puoro. Still, regardless of how, whether it's a 7-day or 5-day wānanga back to back or over a lifetime, you're still enduring that same pain, and so to me those are those things around like mental fortitude, your whakapono to your own wairua, tied into the physical. The physical experience is the catalyst for it, but it's teaching you those other aspects, and I think that's why it's tied with becoming a man. You're making that transition from of the reactive of a child to you have to critically think about something or believe in something and give.
That's so cool you say that, because that has been like a feeling since receiving. It was like the main thing that I guess my intention was like the accepting and the acknowledging of like past versions of myself, but also the letting go of that.
Yeah.
And almost sort of like marking that as like okay, this is the start of something like new, or a new version of myself, however that's going to be expressed. So it's like it is like an initiation into like a new sort of like chapter, in a sense, and that's why I like it as like a timestamp. But I guess going through something like a bit more enduring sort of like creates like a lot more significance, around what it can represent.
The permanence.
And so, bro, we've had like a mean wānanga, bro. We've been going for just over an hour, brother. Sorry to keep for as long as I have, but just want to pass it over to you, bro. Kea koe te wā, brother. Just want to like give it over to you. There's this that I have been sharing with a lot of people, and it's the focus of, I guess, where the podcast is at the moment, and just in relation to like a lot of tāne just not feeling too good within themselves mentally, and too much of choosing the last option. And so there's this kōrero that I've brought out around brother to brother, and that's just like us having a kōrero, but for the bros who might be listening and they might be going through something, the kōrero is like for them to receive and to hopefully get some kind of hua or some kind of māramatanga to support them with whatever they may be going through. And so just with that in mind, bro, just want to pass it over to you if there's any kind of kōrero aki or anything that's on your heart to share. Would love to pass it over to you, brother.
Tēnā koe, bro. Kāro rangatira tēnā, bro. I think for myself, this has probably been the hardest year for my own self, bro. So I lost my dad in May, start of this year, and so those things around grief, bro, and I think also that transition from being one to now you no longer have the one man in your life that would give anything, bro, anything for you. And so I think it's those things around processing grief, bro, and for us as tāne, because again it's the example, or the previous example in responses, be hard, be let any emotion show. And so I think that's a huge part that it's experienced, bro, in different ways. And tāne, I think sharing that mahatanga, that and not being all good, bro, also just being like it's through these hardships, but to work through them, bro, to know that regardless of the pain or the grief, it's that kōrero, bro, e roto I te pauri, te māramatanga, he whitiana. And it is, bro, like, again, you can talk about those things, but to one experience it. And again, that ties back to moko, bro, and what was the catalyst for me receiving my tīwhana, was again to kind of mark this stage in my life, transitioning. Because again, it was that safety net I could go to any kaupapa, and if my dad's there, sweet, dad's there.
Ke konei pāpā.
Ke konei pāpā, we're all good. Dad'll do this, dad'll do the karakia or whatever, whai kōrero. Knowing that's a void there, bro, and knowing that has to be a step up. And those examples, bro, again, of our tipuna, there's the kōrero of hai tō kiri, to scar or to mark your skin for those moments, and those were moments of sadness and pain. So again, it's I think one solution, giving yourself time and patience, giving yourself the space to be sad, bro. Even that, because and that's probably been some part where it's like you're almost using mahi and the busyness to mask
Distract,
or
ne.
to distract from those realities. But yeah, and that was the biggest reason for whānanga for my tīwhānau titirere. Yeah, was to mark that, bro, like you say, to version of yourself and that memory tied with that person and loss, but to always have it with you, but to know that you're going into another place, bro. So I think those are the things, bro, for us as tāne, is to
feel, allow.
Yeah, to allow those emotions, bro, to feel sadness, and not to feel like, I have to put on a front of always being all good or always being strong. So I think there is power in accepting that and being vulnerable as well, taking that space to just be like, yeah, nah, like,
Ke te mamai tonu.
Ke te mamai, bro, yeah.
Oh, ka roa kia koe, pātā. Me aroa nui kia koe. And just want to acknowledge, their vulnerability, but also to acknowledge, your pāpā and the values and everything that he's been able to give you, that, ke te ora tono ki roto i a koe, ki roto i o tamariki. And even just the bravery and just being open around, sharing, kōrero around grief, that's expressed differently for different people. And it's mean to hear that, kua puta mai tahi māramatanga mai tēnei pauri. But also just probably even just instilling more to live more fully ne, bro. It's probably like one of the things that come with loved one's passing, is like a reflection. It's like, as you were even saying in previous kōrero, was how quick time actually is, and there's nothing more, I guess, mirroring than, someone passing, and then also how quickly our kids.
Yeah.
Hey, tērā, bro, thank you for that kōrero, and, to our tāne who are sort of like feeling sadness, and it might not even be the loss of someone close, but grief comes out in different ways, and it could be a separation, or it could be your animal passing, or it could be just something that just brings that kind of like feeling and mode of grief. Is the best thing that we can do, is lean into it, just like moko, as we were saying, bro, is like those hard things, or those dark corners, actually the spaces we need to not find extreme comfort in, but just being able to lean into it so that we can just be present with it at least. And so, beautiful kōrero, bro, mihi ana kia koe mō tērā. And to all the whānau, thank you fellas for tuning in. We took you on a bit of a journey, Māori architect right here, and doing some amazing mahi out there for the iwi, and, being a pāpā, working on balance, the journey of niwareka, and going into those crevices of what it is to be the best versions of ourselves. Thank you for the koha, thank you for being here. Kia koutou katoa. See you on the next one. Check. Tēnā koe, brother.